Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker. Established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys in offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com, and by Business First Bank, with locations throughout the state, including 11 offices in the Baton Rouge area, providing personal and commercial banking, treasury management, and wealth solution services to help clients succeed. Business First Bank, banking with greater momentum. By Short & Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas.
From Mansur's on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge, we're out to lunch with editor of the Baton Rouge Business Report, Stephanie Regal. It's business, Baton Rouge style.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Regal. Welcome to Out to Lunch. We hear a lot about the disruption economy, how Amazon is changing the face of retail or how Uber is changing the way we get around. But there are more subtle yet equally significant changes at work in a variety of sectors, including philanthropy, for example, and medicine. And it's not necessarily bearded hipster millennials in skinny-leg jeans who are leading this change. In Baton Rouge, established professional women are taking the lead and changing the way we approach things like philanthropic giving or visits to the doctor. Joining me today is one such leader, Beverly Brooks Thompson. Beverly is a management consultant whose firm Brooks Thompson Consulting specializes in fundraising advising and philanthropic management consulting for corporate, nonprofit, and individual clients. Beverly founded the firm in 2016 after more than 20 years of fundraising experience, which most notably included directing the Forever LSU campaign for Louisiana State University. You may remember that raised more than $798 million, in excess of the campaign's $750 million goal. The business of fundraising is different today than it used to be. It's not just about raising money, but about impact giving and strategic social engagement. And Beverly is leading the way in this new approach, and she's going to explain it to us in more detail. So Beverly, welcome to Out to Lunch.
Thank you.
And with me in Beverly is Dr. Gungeon, a primary care doctor here in Baton Rouge who is also at the forefront of her changing industry. She's doing Concierge Medicine, which enables her patients for a fee, better access, and more personalized care. Gungeon grew up in Canada, studied in India, did her residency in Pittsburgh, and built a primary practice in Baton Rouge, which gives her a diverse and unique perspective. Recently, she opened Heal 360, a concierge practice at the Baton Rouge General Hospital, and became one of the younger physicians to affiliate with MDVIP, a national network of primary care doctors that follow the new concierge model. It's a fascinating model and the way of the future, at least for those who can afford it. So, Gungeon, thanks for being here with us today. We look forward to hearing about how this all works.
Thank you.
Well, Beverly, I want to go back to you for a minute and kind of start. Impact giving, strategic social engagement, it sounds so great. What does it really mean?
What does it mean? Well, I think it depends on who you talk to, what it means. But what we are finding is people are giving more money in singular, impactful ways. So instead of, for example, writing a whole bunch of $1,000 checks, people are putting those checks together and trying to make a singular difference for a particular organization. In addition to that, you're seeing group giving. So you'll hear things like women's philanthropy circles, or you'll see circles around particular interests. So
like causes or something.
Particular
right?
Causes. So they're right this second with the state of our country. You're seeing a lot in constitutional idealism giving. Okay. You're seeing the flip side of that with some social interest groups. So it's fascinating work, but people have put a new brand on something that high net worth individuals have been doing for quite some time.
And so your firm, you all specialize in this. You go to a client, or a client comes to you, what do you offer them? And how do you help them craft a campaign or shape a message?
Right. Okay, so
or get money out of rich people.
Well, there you go. So we have what I call a three-part operation. One is philanthropic advising for high net worth individuals, families, family offices, and that also bleeds into, if you will, the corporate giving space. So what we do in both the individuals and corporations is help them script a plan for what you just described, that impact giving. So what is meaningful to you, your family, your heirs? What's meaningful for your company? What makes the most sense for the organization, and how we're going to give money away, and how can we engage our employees in that? And then we also have that third piece, which is the traditional philanthropic consulting, where organizations are trying to raise transformational money in a campaign. We helped guide them in doing that. So there's a lot of overlap. The board members are typically the same folks that we work with from a corporate space or an individual space.
Sure.
It makes it a lot of fun. So we play both sides of the philanthropic fence, if you will.
So interesting. All right, well, I want to hear more about it. But Gungeon, you're doing something so interesting, too, with your concierge medicine. It's a new concept. I've heard about it a few years ago with older men, generally, and they're older men doctors. But you're a young woman, and you're bringing this more to the family medicine arena.
Yep. So, concierge medicine has been around for probably a decade now. And it's mostly, the average age of a family doctor that gets into concierge medicine is about 55, 57. And it's mostly, white male physicians that have been in practice for about 30, 35 years. So for me to tap into the field was obviously scary and different and not done.
Right.
But I'm known to do things that are not done. And
Good for you.
Yeah. So, just tapped into it about last year and started my practice about 4 months ago.
Why have younger and female doctors traditionally stayed away from it?
I think it's the fear of failure, and that most female physicians aren't out there and up there in the healthcare industry nowadays. Mm-hmm. We're kind of at the setback. It's a known fact that most female physicians are paid about 10% less compared to their male counterparts. All that being said, when it comes to promoting a female physician in the hospital industry or wherever you are, men tend not to promote female individuals, and that may be subconscious or unconscious. They tend to promote males because there's a similar and familiar face at the board meetings. So I think that has a lot to do with it, but I think it's going to change, and I wanted to be part of the change, so that's why I decided to do this.
I think we're going to talk about women in the workplace in a
Right.
minute, but I want to finish with the model and how it works. Who are your patients,
Okay.
and do you accept insurance, or is it all just this upfront fee that they pay? How does it work?
So concierge medicine, you basically take a traditional family medicine practice. Most physicians, believe it or not, have about 4,000 to 6,000 patients that you're taking care of.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot of patients.
Too many.
Right, and this is why we have so many walk-in clinics and urgent care clinics today, because your family doctor cannot take care of all that. So this model, you drop your practice down from 4,000 to 6,000 patients down to 300 to 600 patients total.
Wow.
So
Huge
nothing,
drop.
it's a huge drop. So nothing changes with the insurance. Patients have their insurances, their copays stay the same. The only thing that changes is you pay an extra fee to your physician for them to be it. So I'm only taking care of about 300 patients right now. I take insurance, I take copay, but I'm available for my patients 24/7. Evenings, weekends, after hours, they have my cell phone. And if you have, a lot of them sign up because if they have kids under the age of 27, it's free. So instead of being a young mom working and worrying about going to the pediatrician, you just call me up. I take care of your kids, teenagers, lots of LSU.
I'm in.
I know, me too.
It ends up being a deal.
How much is the fee?
So the fee is about $1,650 a year. Yeah. And it comes out, they make quarterly payments about $400 every quarter, $140 a month. It's under $5 a day.
So worth it, huh?
Absolutely.
So you went out and sort of blazed this new trail, and Beverly, you've only been out on your own for about a little over a year after a long time.
Exactly. I founded our company a year ago today.
Well,
so it's our
congratulations.
birthday.
How ironic, huh?
Very exciting. What made you want to go out on your own? Especially after being associated with the Forever LSU campaign, which was huge.
Well, I have had such great employers. So from LSU to Women's Hospital, I've just been blessed in what I've done. But in between those two organizations, I worked for a national fundraising firm. In fact, I spent some time in Pittsburgh and love the consulting space. And some of my former clients were banging on the door saying, please come back, please come back. whack. I've always been in a real entrepreneurial role, a role that people haven't always been in before, or that an organization wants to take to another level. So this venture is not completely out of whack for kind of my skill set, but it's been a huge change, but very exciting. I'm not worried about whether we're going to eat. I'm worried about economies of scale and how we open an office in Houston. So.
Yeah, so are most of your clients, speaking of Houston, local, or are you regional? Are you trying to branch out national? Is it just all over the map?
Most of our clients are nationally based. Our real skill set is in the nonprofit space and in transformational change for organizations that are raising between $10 and $500 million. So that,
10 and 500 million. Yeah,
so
that's pretty huge.
Huge difference than I'm running an annual fund. So we have clients in New Orleans, in Houston, in Pittsburgh, in Richmond, Virginia. So we live in Terminal B, if you will. Our individuals and corporate clients, we follow money. And at the moment, most of those clients happen to be in Texas. A whole lot of what we do is referral based. I would suspect it's very similar to your organization. So if one client refers us, it's probably likely that we'll be working in the same area or
word of mouth.
space. Word of mouth is huge.
What is
for
the
us.
model? You get like a fee up front, or you get a cut of however much is raised, or does it just depend on the deal?
So I'm a certified fundraising executive, and what that means is ethically we don't work on commission in the fundraising space. Okay. That is a huge disqualifier. So what we do is project-based, so it depends on what that project is. If that is a planning study, if an organization's getting ready, that's typically a flat fee. If we're going to raise $100 million for an organization, we do that in either 12 or 18-month increments based on the longevity of the campaign. So every engagement looks a little bit different. Yeah. On the other side of the house with individuals and corporations, we write plans, and that's a flat-based fee. So here's the plan for ABC Construction Company to go write their corporate responsibility plan, and we can write that plan and we can facilitate. So if we facilitate their giving, then that's done on a percentage basis.
Can you do fundraising today without a high-priced consultant? I mean, I guess not for something transformational.
No,
you really can't.
Not for something transformational. Now, I will say this, there are a whole lot more fundraisers with great experience than there were 25, 30 years ago. However, I would suggest that if you're raising transformational money, you need a coach to walk you through the process who has seen it at multiple organizations, that hasn't just lived in it in one organization. You need the variety of scale, if you will. It's like physicians. They have to talk to other physicians to see what's new and what's different in the market.
You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm Stephanie Riegel. We're talking to Beverly Brooks Thompson of Brooks Thompson Consulting and Dr. Gungeon Reina of Heal 360. Gungeon, what are physicians out there saying right now, particularly with all of the changes and uncertainty around the future of healthcare insurance in this country?
I mean, I think most physicians are scared, and because they're scared, they're trying to jam in the maximum amount of patients they can in a given day. And that's why a lot of patients, out there are frustrated that, hey, my doctor used to spend 30, 40 minutes with me, and now it's all about 5-10 minutes, and it's just a little roller coaster ride. You're in and out. You're being handed off to a lot of mid-levels, nurse practitioners, MAs, PAs. A lot of patients end up going to Walgreens and CVS for office visits and cold cough, which is sad.
It is very sad.
It's sad because, according to me, and this is why I was motivated to do this, when you pay insurance, you're paying for doctor's visit, and that's not what you're getting.
Right.
Unfortunately, insurance, provides coverage and not care, and
now,
that's not okay.
Are concierge doctors, is it easy to get on the health networks for the major HMOs?
Because I'm not doing anything differently. I'm still practicing the same kind of medicine I did for the last, 7-8 years. nothing that I'm doing has changed. It's just I'm more at ease and happy that I'm practicing medicine the way that I wanted to.
Like it was when we were growing up?
No, yeah, like 40, 50
And
years
then
ago.
being a part of this network, do they help provide marketing support or more like back office stuff, or are they just
So MDVIP gives you the support system for if you need help with marketing, collecting payments. It's really the tools, and their IT department for medical wellness is great, where patients can log in. I had a lady this morning telling me she was doing back physical therapy online with MDVIP with this animation, and I'm like, well, that's great. You don't have to leave the house, and you're not going to physical therapy.
Right.
You're doing it in your home. So that's what it really helps you with.
Sure.
And the rest is really just like you said, word of mouth and how you grow any business.
And then you're affiliated with both hospitals here, or with one of the hospitals?
So I started my career in Baton Rouge with Baton Rouge General, and they've been great, for me. And so I decided to stay within the hospital system and not leave them because I had no reason to leave. So that's been great, just to have their support. And there's several doctors still practicing at Baton Rouge General, and there's about 3 of us that are MDVIP.
Okay. And how many in the market overall? I mean,
So there's about
seems like there would be a lot of interest in this.
So there's about 950. You're asking for doctors or patients?
Or
physicians?
concierge. Doctor's
Concierge.
office,
There's about
concierge.
950 all across North America.
So not that many
Not
at all.
that many, no. They're pretty snooty about who they pick.
Sure. So how do you get in if you're a patient and you want a doctor to provide this service? I mean, are you booked up already, or have you hit your max, or will you
So
squeeze in
the max
Beverly
is 600.
and me?
Yeah, no, we'll sign you up today, later, after the show. The max is 600.
Okay.
And I decided, since I was younger in age, I decided to start slow and kind of give myself time to grow, as I mature in my practice, because it's the practice of medicine. You get better the more you do it.
Sure. Well, let's take a break for just a minute from business to do a part of the show that we call Another Great Idea. It's just a fun little question we ask sometimes. So like maybe you've got a friend who always has a great idea for you. They tell you about a job to apply for, or somebody you should have a cup of coffee with, or a great investment opportunity you should jump on. And maybe you take the advice and it turns out really well. And maybe you ignore the advice and you missed a great deal. Or maybe you take the advice and it turns out to be the best thing that could have ever happened to you. So do y'all have an example of that in your life? And did you follow that great advice, or did you ignore it? And how did it turn out?
Oh, well, what great advice I've been given over the years through mentors. But one of the things that somebody said to me very early on, as a matter of fact, Mary Delahousie Bellow said to me in my first job, success occurs when preparation meets opportunity. So if you're in a situation where you can't grow up in your job or in your career, grow wide. Mm-hmm. Now, I've taken that literally, and I have taken that
Yeah, what does that mean as a
metaphorically.
practical matter?
So in a practical matter, that means always learn something new. So can you grow wide, and what does that look like for you? So maybe it's asking for more opportunity, maybe it's learning something new, but making sure that you're prepared when those opportunities come to be. So I've really lived by that mantra. You don't always know what that educational experience is or what that lesson is, but once you have it, it's just another tool in your tool belt. And here I am launching a company. But that's been helpful,
Sure.
taking the little class on how to QuickBooks, whatever,
Right.
whatever that is for you.
That's great. What about you, Gungeon?
Let's see. So I think I have a similar story. I remember we've been in Baton Rouge for about 8 years, and I was pregnant with my second daughter. And I was right at 9 months pregnant. I was probably going to deliver in 20 days. And, the Baton Rouge General came to me with this job opportunity at one of our most premium, top-notch clinics that, hey, we want to invite you to be a physician here. And at that time, I was doing traditional medicine. And I remember freaking out, like, I'm 9 months pregnant. We have no family in town. I have an older kid that's 2 years of age. My husband works all the time. What am I going to do? I was like, I can't take this job. And my husband's boss at the time, who is, a great mentor and a good friend now, said to me, just close your eyes, you're going to take that job. Like, you're just going to do it. And I'm telling you, you're going to do it. And I remember thinking, he has no idea what he's talking about. Right. I mean, whatever.
He doesn't have the babies at home.
And he's a male and he's a physician and whatever, he doesn't have to do carpool. But I'm so glad I listened to him, because that has been my stepping stone for my career. I mean, that's
Fantastic.
a huge, huge part of where I am today is because of him saying that.
Recognizing the
But it
opportunity.
is hard to juggle, and I find that women, it's harder for women to juggle than men. I mean, they are the primary caregivers. How do you do it?
I take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
You know, obviously I have help. I've got a great husband that's understanding. But that being said, I think it's a juggle, and it's a lot of hard work every day, every single day, just to get it done.
Singular focus. So I pick the things that are most important. I have to remind myself every day what is most important, because it's easy to get that hijacked. And singular focus. That means sometimes I have to say no to my friends when, let's go have cocktails Thursday at 2. Well, I need to do
Thursday at
this.
2.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Whatever.
Who are your friends?
Thursday at 5. Whatever that
Right.
is. But singular focus on what's most important
Yep.
to my family, what's most important to my company. And that's a whole lot easier said than done. But I was a single mom for 10 years with
Wow.
2 little kids doing, that work. It takes a village. I'm not from here either. So you find really who your tribe is and who you can
right.
call and what you're
New
willing to
family,
pay for,
right.
what you're willing to sacrifice, what you're not. And it's easier said than done, but you can do it.
Right.
People say all the time, you can have it all. I don't believe that.
I don't
think
either.
you can have it all, but you can't have it all at the same time.
Something gives. I mean,
Something gives.
always has to give.
Right. And knowing what needs to give at what time is important.
You all are not from here, either of you. Do you find Baton Rouge really behind in terms of, I don't want to say women's equality, but, in terms of women's opportunities? I mean, I do think this is a very sexist community, and I talk to male businessmen all the time. I find it and I feel it. I'm just wondering if you do in your respective careers.
I mean, I've been here for about 8 years, and I've seen a lot of moms are at home, and there's a lot of stay-home moms, my patients, friends that I hang out with are at home, and am I jealous or envious in a way? Not really, but they have the advantage of being at home and focusing on kids and home and family.
Singular focus.
Right, and it's easier, it's easier for everyone.
Yeah.
And their male, their husbands are out there in the workforce and making the money. I choose not to do that because I love what I do and I'm passionate about what I do, and it makes me a better person, mom, and wife. But I do think it is a little, I don't want to say backward, or it is definitely sexist. And I find it harder for women in Louisiana to jump up.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I have been so blessed working for LSU, which is all about equality and openness, and even being a higher ed institution, that's kind of the thought process.
And women's, too.
And Women's Hospital.
led
I mean,
Oh,
the
it's
entire
huge.
executive team led by Terry Fontenot is just extraordinary. So I've worked in 2 really probably different environments. And that's why I used to say all the time, there's only 2 business cards I would carry, and those were the 2. But the flip side of that is I have been given incredible opportunities by men to do good work. I worked for a Marine general, and I looked around his executive team at one time, and we were all under the age of 35, and I was like, well, this is crazy. And I realized that he was very used to looking for skill sets as opposed to experience, because Marines are 18 to 22, right?
Sure.
So I've tried to model that behavior, but to answer your question, yes, I do find other places much more advanced in things like that. Here, if I say my name is Dr. Beverly Thompson, they kind of look at me like, what? Like, that's possible? Or if I'm introduced as the director of the Forever LSU campaign. I was 35 when that happened. People are like, "What? Like you're in charge? Like
Right.
it's
Well,
just
and the
such
younger
shock.
you are, I mean, it gets easier
Right.
as you get older, for sure.
Right, there's that,
it's-
right?
It helps. Aging helps
It
in your
does.
career.
But in Houston or in Pittsburgh or in LA or in New York, people don't blink at that. So I think that's unfortunate, but I do think it's changing.
I think it's too that just so many of the connections here are part of the old boys network.
Where'd you
they
go to
all went
school?
right.
Where'd you go to high school?
Right.
I
They all
don't
went to
have
the
that.
same
Right.
boys' high school. They were all in the same fraternity.
I don't have the same
huge.
handshake.
That's really, I think, where it gets to be difficult to break through.
Right.
And then once you break through, I think you can
You
do
just
it.
work hard. You just keep on working.
I say all the time to young ladies that I mentor, let your work speak. The harder
It'll
you
happen.
work, the more opportunity will open, because people recognize talent. They don't care what gender or age it is.
I agree.
But
Yes.
you just have to work harder to prove it.
Have you all gotten to the point with your respective businesses where you need to go out and try to raise capital? Have you had to go to the lending community here in Baton Rouge? Or elsewhere?
That's such an interesting question. I have avoided that, although all of my friends are bankers, which is, which has been really great. And I actually switched banks because somebody said, no matter what, when you're ready, we want to have your business, and we're going to give you a line of credit. So I have a huge line of credit based on, contracts, but to date I haven't had to worry about raising capital. But I'm not in a highly technical field. The technicality is between my ears, and the more people I put on the payroll, the more we'll have that conversation.
Good.
So we'll see.
And
That's
how
the one
many
thing
are
that,
on your payroll right now?
0.
Oh, so it's all you. Okay.
So, but however, I have 8 people on my team.
Gotcha.
So I contract people based on the actual work that we're doing, which gives me, frankly, a higher level employee from somewhere else with grand experience. Most of the people I would put on the payroll, I can't ever afford, and I don't want to afford, and they like it that way. So they're the captains.
And probably
of
so much
their-
more flexibility. That's great.
Absolutely. So we like to say we are a concierge fundraising and advising firm. So we're going to get the best person for your particular project. And we have a wide network. So far, that's worked really well for both me, and it has worked really great for the people that we've contracted with.
That's great.
They love it.
How big is your practice? Gungeon, is it just you? Do you have
So,
employees
I'm-
under you?
I'm by myself, and I have 2 employees for my current practice. It's just a very small business model.
Do you envision, would you bring on other concierge doctors and have a group practice that follows that model, or do you plan to stay solo?
I think someone with my personality needs to just be by herself. I'm definitely a control freak, and I think I do better on my own.
Well, Beverly Brooks Thompson and Gungeon Reina, thank you all so much for being here today. Y'all are doing great things in the community and blazing trails in your respective industries, and nice to have women on the show who like mine. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
My guests today on Out to Lunch have been Beverly Brooks Thompson of Brooks Thompson Consulting and Dr. Gungeon Reina of Heal 360. You can find out more about Brooks Thompson Consulting and Heal 360 by following the links on our website. It's batonrouge.la and wrkf.org. The producer of our show is Grant Morris. Our technical producer is Eric Merle. Our associate producer is Peter Raschuti. And our Baton Rouge business consultants are Charlie D'Agostino and Ann Edelman. You can see photos from this show on itsbatonrouge.la and on our Facebook page. These photos are taken by Ken Stewart. All the music on Out to Lunch is composed and performed by Mitchell Foreman. You can find more of Mitchell's music wherever great jazz is streamed or sold and at mitchellforeman.com. You can get this show as a podcast, you can listen to past shows, and you can keep up with us on all kinds of social media by going to our websites at batonrouge.la and wrkf.org. Out to Lunch is a production of INO Broadcasting for its batonrouge.la and WRKF 89.3 FM. I'm Stephanie Riegel. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to meeting you again next week around the table here at Mansur's for more business Baton Rouge style on Out to Lunch.
Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys in offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com, and by Business First Bank, with locations throughout the state, including 11 offices in the Baton Rouge area, providing personal and commercial banking, treasury management, and wealth solution services to help clients succeed. Business First Bank, banking with greater momentum. By Short & Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas. Out to Lunch is recorded live over lunch at Mansur's on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge. Mansur's is open for lunch daily from 11 until 2, for dinner nightly, and for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays.